Yeah, but
all right, so let's go live. I've clicked the button.
Whoa!
That's not how I wanted this to start.
Now this is pod racing. Sup, everybody? It's us, your favorite podcasters.
What was that word that you just used?
Now this is pod racing.
Pod racing? What does that
Yeah.
mean? Hi everyone, welcome to the
What's
I have
up,
a question
gamers?
of my own for Ripley. What does pod racing mean?
What the fuck? Have you never seen Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
That doesn't sound like chosen ones what I am here for.
Just
If
a
you think about
reminder,
it, Star
I'm going to
Wars-
be mostly focusing on doing questions and keeping the stream stuff in order, so if you guys could read out anything important to me, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's fair. Everybody's just saying hi right now. What's up,
Yeah.
gamers? It's
There's a
us.
person in the water.
I
like,
do remember we talked about, hey, we should get someone in the stream who's not a cast member to like help us monitor the chat and read out questions to us. I sure did forget about that.
And then we
There's-
sure didn't do
Oh.
that.
There's always next year.
There's always next year. See, someone got the reference. That's fine.
Okay.
What's
Yeah.
up?
Congratulations.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's that time of year, guys.
Yeah,
It's
every
that
year I
time
look
of
forward
year.
to it.
Shut
Who's
up.
that?
Time of year, guys.
Oh, but
Hey,
look at the little
guys.
screen though. Look at the gears moving. Look at that.
Right,
Oh.
right. Oh my gosh.
High
It's
quality
so
production.
High quality production. This is what you come to Chosen Ones for. The high quality production.
Yeah.
Right?
This music, by the way, is the season 4 theme song.
It's not. I'm going to credit the artist in a minute.
Definitely not.
Broma said that he likes how we're starting the stream with pod racing, so like, you know. Just saying.
Did you say pottery? What is happening?
pod,
Pod racing?
racing?
Oh,
It's where you
Racing
race in
with
flying
pods.
pods. Yeah. I got my pod. Did you guys prepare
You and
yours?
Jay are like
Yeah.
on the same wavelength, which
Did
is
you not
weird,
grab
you
you? That's
all-
because
Yeah,
Jay's
usually-
good at improv.
usually you're fighting.
Jay's good at improv. It's yes and fuckers. Jesus.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm actually the worst yes-ander here, so.
No, you're fine. Hey, what's up? How are you all? How's your day going? Days?
Yeah, we're waiting a bit just to let people join the stream before we start the actual questions. We do have a pre-list that we took from patrons that we'll be reading out, but not anywhere near the number we had last year. So we'll be asking for questions from you guys in probably like 30, 40 minutes.
We got some juicy questions for you. And then after that, you guys will be able to ask questions. If you want to make sure your questions are seen, down below in the chat, you can pay us money.
Oh
and
my
we will
gosh.
For sure see that question. So if you want to ensure that your question is seen, pay us.
Ripley's here for the marketing team.
Yeah. Go buy our merch.
Ripley?
We did a, we did a
I
live
made
stream.
5 shirts on our fucking Redbubble. Go buy them.
Listen. We did a live stream Q&A, and I didn't we get like $5 or something?
We did.
$5.
I think someone paid so that way their question would be pop up. So
Did we
Yeah.
answer it? I can't remember.
we did, but we
What did we
learned
do?
that you have to answer them like pretty fast because otherwise the question vanishes. So we had to like scroll up
That's
super
right, it
far.
did vanish. I remember
We
that,
had to scroll up super far to find what the question had been.
Mm.
Also, hi 44 people. We've already gone above what the highest view
Dang.
count was last year.
Yeah, what's up?
Oh,
I didn't even realize there was that many.
Yo.
It's not up
Merch,
It
yeah,
says
we-
7.
We do have merch. It's in our link tree. We haven't announced it yet because it was my week to do the outro, and I said I was going to do a merch announcement, and then I didn't because I forgot.
Yeah. But yeah, if you go to, we have a Redbubble, and it has merch on it. It's got a Winona shirt, it's got a Cash shirt, it's got a Master Dashi Says shirt, it's got lots of
All the
stuff.
logos
Look
from
at-
seasons 1 through 3 are on there,
Yeah.
along with alt if you want the versions without the text.
So
Yeah.
Dashi says you should all buy it.
Master Dashi Says, yeah, exactly.
Next year we'll do a Q&A completely in character, which means I will have to be very ready.
Yeah. Oh, there's also an I Heart Claytor shirt, so you should go and buy those. Go and buy all of them. I made all the designs, so I get all the money, so go buy them. Just kidding.
I'm trying to find the Redbubble link. Should we link it?
If you check in the description to our link tree, it's on our link tree. So the link tree has the links to all of our social media, and any other important links, including the Redbubble.
Cha.
Cool. Well, there's where to find it then.
Cha. So good to do that. But like after the live stream or during, I guess you could listen to it. There's not anything going on screen.
There's just pretty gears moving around.
Oh fuck.
No, as soon as you look away, that's when everything will hit the fan. You're gonna miss everything.
Yeah.
That's right. The full... I actually animated the whole live stream in advance. This is where we're going to release our 3D model versions of the cast that we have rigged up to us.
Don't tempt me.
And it's gonna play once you look away.
Yeah. They're gonna Fortnite dance. You'll see. It'll be great.
We're actually moving away from doing podcasting, and we think we're gonna do VTubing from now on.
God, don't say that. I want to.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
say
it.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
Literally, okay. I had the idea. I wanted to do a live stream like campaign, but like have everybody's little character tokens on screen and have them like VTube like or like PNG tuber essentially like bounce up and down whenever they talk. I think that'd be fun.
I don't
Oh,
understand
that's a good
any
idea.
of that.
I
It's
know
kinda-
you don't. It's because I'm a PNG tuber and
I thought you were gonna be like, it's because I'm a fucking genius, and
because I'm my brain is fucking massive, engorged. It hurts to wear hats.
did not like that word.
I did not as well.
What?
Engorged.
How
Yeah.
was your day, you guys?
Yeah. How are
Me
you?
or the audience?
We got 3 more minutes of small talk, so hold it together, everyone.
No.
I'm gonna
How
be
was
very.
your day, Zen?
Aww, it was fine. I had a very nice, enjoyable day. You know, I didn't work. I just,
Ooh.
my AC's back on, so it's not 100 degrees now, so it's okay.
I wish
Oh,
I
yeah.
had my AC on, but I haven't installed it yet, because sometimes our power goes out. And I did not want a repeat of last anniversary, where our power went out right before the live stream, and then I thought I lost all of Chosen Ones because my external hard drive stopped being recognized after the power outage. So we had to do the live stream with me panicking in the background in my brain, being like, all of Chosen Ones might be gone. Happy anniversary and goodbye forever.
But it's fine, and now we're here.
It was fine, and now I have something specifically that prevents my computer from turning off during a power outage, so I could properly turn it off.
Yeah.
And I have been packing because I'm going on a plane trip to visit Ripley, Cassie, and Shayna.
Hell yeah!
Wow.
Fuck Zen. No, I'm just kidding.
I
Everyone's
would
Zen.
Okay.
honestly, I would have had so much fun if Zen came too.
Yeah, but do you hear
Yeah.
this abuse though?
Zen, just buy a plane ticket to come like now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's cheap.
Yeah.
I'm going to Texas in 2 weeks.
Texas. Why are you going to Texas?
Yeah, none of us are there.
Yeah. Fuck you have in Texas. No.
You're gonna bleach your hair and dye it? I want to do that too.
Mood. I
Again.
wish I could do that without destroying my hair.
All right, I think we're close. We're close enough to the 10-minute mark. So just before we go any further, I want to shout out the music that's going to be playing in the background of this stream. We are patrons of Michael. I'm so sorry. I'm going to say his last name wrong. Michael Gelfi Studios. It's spelled Ghelfi, so I'm sure that's pronounced completely wrong, but we're one of their patrons, so we can play their music in the background for this stream. They're very good. They do a lot of music and ambiances and stuff like that, some of which we've used in the show, and he's also just a really nice guy, so you should go check out his stuff.
Shout out to Michael Gelfi.
Yeah, and his music is also, the playlist that we're playing is in the description as well if you want to check out his stuff.
Hell yeah.
And now we're going to introduce ourselves. We did this last year, and it feels silly to do it for a 2-year anniversary, but we're still going to do it. So I'm Cassie, and I am the DM of Chosen Ones, and I play everyone else that's not about to be stated.
Shaw.
We'll
I
just
think
go.
Jay should go second.
Yeah, we'll
I
just
think
go
Jay
down the
should go
list. Jay is on the first
Okay.
on our list.
Yes.
Um, I go by the username funnybunnyjay. I'm Jay. I usually prefer to be referred to as Jay. And I play Avayath, the Asmer Paladin, the big guy in the full suit of armor with the wings.
Wow. Hi, I'm Ripley. I go by Riptides online, but my name is Ripley, so call me Ripley. I play Brandy, the big funny tiefling. Everyone's funniest guy. He's a warlock. And maybe something else? Anyway.
A warlock and a goofball.
And a goofball. His multi-classed into goofball real early.
Is that homebrew?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like everything fucking else about Brandy. I can't play a normal class anymore.
Okay, my name is Zen. I have an addiction.
Yep.
Okay. Never saying that again. I hate being... Okay. No, I'm Zen. My birthday was last month, May 31st. Happy birthday to me. I'm 25. I play Shui. Shui is a bard who doesn't really act like a bard, but I mean, he's a bard. Like, he's a bard, clearly, but he does not...
Act like one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like a fighter.
Yeah, he thinks he's a bard, but he's
If
actually a
you
fighter.
thought Shui was a samurai fighter, you would be completely within your right to think that.
Okay. What else? What else about me? I don't know. Oh, I go by Zen. I don't know. What do I say? I go by ZentoBox on Twitter, but I'm inactive on social media, so sorry about that.
Zen's living his best life, which is
I'm living my
is great.
best life.
I'd love to not be on Twitter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Okay, Shayna, your turn.
Hello, I'm Shayna, and you can just call me Shayna. I play Theo, who is, of course, the ranger rogue in the party. My pronouns are they, he, so no other ones, please. And, my account on Twitter, my main one is Sweetsunberry. But I do have a YouTube on which I post animated content, most of it of Chosen Ones nowadays. Well, I guess I do other stuff, but still, a lot of Chosen Ones content is Shribbit, which is SCHRIBBIT. And yeah.
Yeah, and that actually brings up a good point. If you're ever uncertain about pronouns, they're listed in the description of every single episode, this live stream included. So, and if you're on our Discord, everyone's pronouns usually are listed as roles, so you can always check if you're uncertain about anyone's pronouns.
Yeah.
I use they, them.
Yeah.
I didn't say that in the beginning. Yo, what up?
I use she, her as it stands now. And then Jay and Zen, I think you two just use he, him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bunch of sissies. Anyway.
That's just kidding.
I was about to make the joke. I don't have pronouns, but I do.
Oh my god. I'd eject you. I'd eject you from our apartment. You'd have to sleep on the street for the next fucking week.
I mean, I do also just want to say that there are people who don't use pronouns. So if that's you, that is also okay.
Yeah.
Be who you are for your pride. You remember that meme?
I don't know
No.
why I thought
You haven't seen that? Oh my god.
I don't know why I thought you were starting to sing the fucking Kingdom Hearts song. like fucking when you walk I don't know why.
All right.
Soda just told me to get some chicken wings, so that's cool.
And with that, we will get into our Patreon questions. And from after that, we will do live questions. So first one on our Patreon list is a question for me, which was there anything in the campaign so far that I didn't expect the cast to do? And that is from Mr. Bakudan. I mean,
Shout out to Mr. Bakudan.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Shout out to Mr. Bakudan. He's one of our patrons. Everyone on this list is. So
Shout out to our patrons.
But yeah, so the question was basically, has the cast done things I haven't expected? Yes! Ripley likes to banish people.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. I like banishing people.
I would say...
Banishment is such a fun spell to fuck everything up.
At times, there are reactions to things I don't expect that aren't supposed to have, like, certain, like, visceral reactions or, such big emotional reactions, or I expect bigger emotional reactions and don't get them, and it's just kind of like playing it by ear, based on how the cast reacts in the moment, and it just adjusting your story, basically. If it doesn't seem like it's a big deal and you wanted it to be a big deal, just make it keep coming up, or emphasize that it should be important to the characters, and then if something becomes a bigger deal than you intend, just lean into it, because it's fun.
Yeah.
If something grabs your player's attention, even if it wasn't the intention that you wanted that to be a focal point, that's usually a good thing. So keeping with those plot points can bring more enjoyment overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I answered that pretty well. Good job. No, okay.
Yeah, everybody give a round of a hand for.
Thanks.
Good job, Cassie.
Thank you so much. I actually did not. I forgot to read the questions again before the live stream, so I didn't prepare anything.
Neither did we. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So this is a general question for the cast. If you could learn more about any of the NPCs, who would you want to learn about and why?
Riddle, because Riddle just seems so deep and important.
Oh gosh.
I've gotten on Cassie about this. Cassie does not like Riddle.
Cassie hates Riddle.
There's nothing.
Cassie wishes Riddle didn't fucking exist.
You
There's
say that
nothing
because you don't
to
want us
him.
to realize that he's actually the final boss the whole time.
Yeah.
There's actually,
Riddle
like,
is
everything.
Draga's friend, and that is his whole personality.
That's why he's the final boss.
Oh my god.
That's a good question.
I
mean-
wanted to know about where we are in the podcast about Essence, because Essence, from the moment she's introduced, she obviously has like some kind of problem. She's got issues.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is your deal? What is your problem?
Why are you like this?
Yeah. And then the thing with the booth just kind of made me more curious. And yeah, just weird shit happens with her.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So that's my answer is Essence.
I want to know about Peter, Petey boy.
Oh, I love Peter.
I just like Peter a lot, and he has my dad, so like I don't know. I want to know more about Peter and how that whole situation happened. How, like, why did he end up merging with the Abergrim the way he did? Spoilers, by the way. If you're at the
I
season
mean,
2
there's a
fucking
spoiler
live
warning
stream.
at the top of the description. You should not be here if you aren't caught up.
Yeah, exactly. But like, he's merged with the Abergrim. I'm interested in why that happened and what went down exactly. I don't know. Peter's cool. What about you, Zen?
Okay, yeah, okay. So I would so I have two people that I would really like to know more about. The first one, and I guess this would be like my main, would actually be Fisk. I don't know if you guys remember, but Fisk is Shui's friend, the
Murder
ghost-
victim.
murder victim, who was brought onto the ghost ship, piloted by, is it 4? Was it? Yeah,
Yes, by
4.
4.
Haruku, yeah.
Sorry, I was
Um,
reading all the things talking about how people are
Yeah, I was
standing
asking you.
standing
Riddle is,
Riddle.
huh?
Figured it out. That's how I figured it out. And so, we saw like that brief, scene in the flashback with Shui and Fisk, and we could tell that they were pretty close. But I just, I'd like to explore their relationship dynamic a little bit more, leading up to his demise. And
Your
even
murder of
after,
him?
even after he died, and like what he was thinking, and like knowing that, just knowing everything. And the other person I would actually like to learn more about is kind of almost directly related to that is EP Shu. We saw some of EP Shu in the alternate timeline. Don't know what's going on there.
There is no Shui.
Yeah, the little bug in EP Shu's head is Shui apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would
Also,
love
it's
to
so
learn.
funny in hindsight because Brandy was like, "That's not your fucking body. That's Shui's body." When Shui was the one who was actually in that timeline in Ibishu's body.
Brandy don't know shit.
I know, but
man.
it's funny in hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just like I want to know more about Ibishu and his origins and like what makes him tick, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
those are my answers. Fisk and Ibishu.
So, I almost feel like there's a lot of clues or hints, like for a lot of characters. I feel like, the ones that we know about now, I'm not like super itching because I'm like, I feel like I know your deal. But for the Magic Man, I really don't know what the fuck is going on with the Magic Man. And I'm like, I really want to know how he became what he is, which is not a god and not a fiend or a fae.
He's an
He's-
entertainer. He's just a funny guy.
Yeah, he's just what he is. And I'm like, but what are you? And what is your function? What
No,
do you
he's
do?
not
What
telling
is
you
your
that.
damage? So I really want to know about the Magic Man, and I guess by extension, and also by just who I am, I'd love to know more about Zyri.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's fair.
fair, huh?
I'd love to know
Zyri,
what he did to get
Zyri
his,
was an NPC in a game that we've played before. That was modern day times because Zyri is a time traveler. So they already knew who Zyri was the first time I name dropped him. He just didn't come up. I remember specifically, I think, Shayna, you were fishing for the name because you thought it might be him, which is why he was mentioned so early in the series despite not coming till the end of season 2.
The thing was, I don't think I fully suspected that it was Zyri. I was just like, you know what? I never do this. Let me fish for information. Let me actually
Give me
ask
the
about
fucking
like
name.
let me ask about who it is and not just keep this like a vague conversation. I did just want to know more about Arthur and like, well, what's the name of this random person?
Yeah, what's the name of the person who
And-
taught you to time travel?
Yeah, stop
and
being fucking vague and tell us shit.
It just happened to be a character that I love, which
Yeah.
made me scream.
So in that modern game, Monty, my character, was the cousin of Zyri. So I had and they had a pretty unique relationship, and so
Yeah.
and so
I will
when
just-
I saw
Very briefly say, because I'm not going to go into details because that game was a train wreck, but basically there was something in place where they did timeline hopping and stuff in that game as well, and every single timeline, Zyri would kill Zen's character,
Kill my cousin!
and so it became kind of like a joke.
yeah,
And they didn't know why for a long time, but like every single timeline, Zyri would kill Monty, who was Zen's character.
Yeah.
So yeah, the timeline bullshit in this game is not new. I've done it in previous games, and there's been other characters from previous games as well who have reappeared in this one.
Yeah. So when Zyri showed up, basically, needless to say, I thought he was just back on some bullshit. I didn't really trust him at the time. You know what I mean? But it's, remains to be seen. I don't know what he's really about.
But yeah, I'm really excited to learn more about him as time goes on. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my answer.
And then I actually kind of just answered the question that's up next, which was, it seemed like the players had history with Zyri. Are we ever going to hear more about that in Chosen Ones? And that's from Clawlore49. And while they have another history with Zyri outside of this game, we've decided that game is non-canon. Games that we've played before Chosen Ones are non-canon because there's players in it who aren't in Chosen Ones, there's characters that don't exist anymore, there's lore things that have been changed to be a little bit more consumable. So those games effectively are not canon anymore. So while the cast has history with Zyri, it's not going to be something that's ever brought up in game because it's not relevant to this game anymore.
It's not what we would call accurate history for Chosen Ones in particular.
Yeah.
Y'all.
And we try as much as possible to make sure that we remember that this game is separate from the previous games that we've played, even if it's connected to them or has references to them, because we know that you guys obviously have not seen those and will never release those. So we do try to be conscious about that.
Mm-hmm.
You will get the information that you need to get throughout the series to be able to finish Chosen Ones, is basically it. And all the games will be connected, so the campaign after this, if you still have unfinished questions from this game, there's a pretty good chance that they'll be addressed in games afterwards, unless they're not tied to an NPC who realistically would be dead at that point.
And you will have questions after it's over.
I mean, yeah, that's the nature of any D&D game. You're not going to answer every single thing. Plot points get dropped all the time because people just don't pursue them, and if they aren't necessary to the ending of the game, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
We are trying pretty hard to answer any like kind of like outstanding like questions, but I'm sure there will be a couple that we missed. So,
yeah. I mean, everyone also values certain things or is curious about things in different ways. I feel like we're going to answer all of the heavy hitting ones that are important for Chosen Ones to be able to end, but one person who's watching as an audience member might have a bunch of questions that I wouldn't even think need to be answered because it's just different according to your viewing experience. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, shout out to Clawlore49 for the question. Thanks, Clawlore.
And the question after that is also from Clawlore49, which is how do our sessions usually run? What are the steps leading up to the start of the session and all that? A lot of times I push sessions back, honestly. I work a lot and procrastinate a lot at the same time, so we usually have to push sessions back by an hour or two to be able to play, or full days. So we don't play as frequently as we used to just because I'm busy. It's very hard to produce a show and play a show and plan a show at the same time. So we've slowed down quite a bit. But most of the sessions these days don't go longer than 5 hours because we used to do 7-8 hour sessions. And that just kind of led to a little bit of... It can lead to burnout. I don't feel like we felt like it was burning us out, but it can lead to burnout. All the sessions that we did that were that long had a lot of intense stuff in it where people wanted to keep going, and like always do check-ins with your players and all that to make sure they want to keep going. But we just decided at a certain point that 5 hours would be our cap, and we aim more for 4 hours these days, especially because backlog-wise, a 4-hour session usually translates into 3 episodes. So one
Plus,
session...
Like nowadays, we're all like super busy.
Yeah, or things come up and we have to reschedule and stuff. That's just part of getting old. And we also started playing mostly during the pandemic, so we had a lot more time.
Yeah. Haha. Remember the pandemic?
Yeah.
Haha.
Well, our first session was recorded January before the pandemic. We had to go on a hiatus because we were moving. Some of us were moving, and then we restarted again mid to late. No. We released in June. We started recording again in like March, I think.
Yeah.
So, and we've taken hiatuses and stuff since then as well. We're about to go on one again because it's too hot to play.
Yeah.
Because we can't have our ACs on.
Yeah. Plus, the steps leading up to a session is we say, hey, when do we want to record? That day? Okay. And then we do it. Those are the steps. Oh,
I guess technically we also do at the beginning. I do test recordings to make sure that everyone's audio sounds okay, because we do a master recording that records the music that I use in the background and all the cast members. So that's just kind of like a fail-safe if we lose any of the individual audios, so they can re-record their audio. But we can't use that recording because it has copyrighted music for when we play our sessions. And then I also do voice mod tests because I use them live. I've talked about this before, but I do use them live. I'll demonstrate.
Do it right now.
Which one should I do?
Abaddon.
You just cursed everyone. Everyone's about to die.
Yeah, now everyone in the chat is dead. Ha, we got you. Oh, I hate it. Okay, that's enough of that.
Everybody in the chat's going to make a saving throw.
I didn't understand what you said because you
Hello,
talked
everyone.
Well, then you should listen more.
I was trying. You know,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I also was like, I almost misclicked and clicked a Bishu's voice mod, which would have been funny.
I can see the thumbnails now. Abaddon easy Bishu with a circle on the thumbnails or some shit.
Red circle around Brandy.
God.
All right. Let's do the next one after that, which is out of all the NPCs, which one would you want to steal from Cassie and play? And that is from Z.
Shout out to Z. We love our patrons over here. Shout out to our patrons. Shout out to Z.
Now I'm looking at the NPC refs.
Arthur.
Yeah, so I came up with all my answers beforehand. I think I'm the only one who did that. But for me, it would be Win, because I like playing loud, fun, funny, energetic characters, and I always liked the trope of the character who's sort of the underdog because they don't have powers like everybody else. But Win also comes with the interesting caveat of, like, that's also an advantage because magic doesn't work on him either.
Yeah,
I love the concept. I like playing characters who are like Win.
Valid. I want to steal Arthur. I want to play Arthur.
He's very fun.
Yeah. I want to play Arthur. I like playing morally dubious characters. Or Zyri or Peter would be my other options, because I think I could play both of them pretty easily. They're, like, half my characters are a similar vibe to them.
Zyri is minimum effort, constant depressive episode. And you got it.
Yeah. So it's just me.
No! Trash man with empathy issues. So.
Yeah.
For me,
I love him.
I would say King Larkspur, honestly.
Oh.
Oh, why? Oh, no, you know, I get it.
He
No,
is
never mind.
Yeah, I get why, because
he's just cocky and, like, super flamboyant, and he's powerful.
I mean, we've barely seen him, really.
Exactly, and so I'm just saying that, like...
So Zen's like, I can't get it wrong because we don't fucking know much about him, so...
It's because he's Zen's type.
Yeah, he's blonde.
He's also Zen's type, yeah.
Yeah.
The reaction when Flynn was first shown was so funny.
Yeah.
I don't have words.
It's okay.
Zen likes blonde assholes, and that's okay.
I don't. I only in media, like...
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
okay, sure. All right, okay.
We're talking about media right now. I'm not saying in real life you go out to get some, like, bastard man with blonde hair. Like,
I did play, I will admit, I did play a blonde king who was supremely confident. So.
Yeah.
I might be biased, but I'm just saying, I could do him justice. You know what I mean? You guys want drama, I'll deliver, okay?
It's true. You've had really good lines as
Zen's like, I will complete whatever the fuck he was doing at the at the festival.
I'm just saying, because you would expect, like, you know, like, the PCs and, you know, them to win and, like, beat him if he's evil, but, like, if I play him, they're not gonna win. You know what I mean? I'm gonna win.
Okay. So, was that your full?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So, purely because this character is exactly the kind of character that I would create and play, it's just I've never played a Triton before, it would be Titus. It's literally because... it's literally because I tend to play characters better when their social skills are about similar to my own. So, what I'm saying is, I have terrible social anxiety, and I relate to that in Titus, and I would play him well. And also, Titus is a beautiful boy. And then also, just for my enjoyment, and not because I would be able to play him, or them, I guess, would be both Zyri and Peter. It's just literally because I love them, and not because I would be able to play them, because I wouldn't be able to play them. I just
Rudy,
want them
angry men.
Yeah. See, now we can call me out Zen.
No, I'm not gonna do that because you're actually my friend. You know.
I was surprised Ripley didn't say Magic Man.
I mean, he's a higher power. I don't think I'd be allowed to do that.
I guess, yeah. I was thinking of it more in terms of they asked if, like, you wanted to steal and play them. So, like, for your own game, possibly. Not necessarily as a PC.
Yeah, that's fair. If I put as an NPC, yeah, I'd love to use Magic Man as an NPC, 100%.
Yeah, and I've played some of the NPCs as PCs in other games before as well. And I usually don't allow people to play the other NPCs just because I'm very stuck in how they should be. Like, I played Peter, and I specifically said to not put Estel in the game as an NPC. Just because I get particular, and that's also why I prefer to make NPCs with players, just because I feel like it's hard for other people to necessarily get the exact vibe that someone is going for. It's easier to build them from scratch.
Get my character, man.
There's a couple exceptions, like there's some characters in Theo's backstory that were made pre the game, like Auntie Alice and well, I mean, we made his sister together, but Auntie Alice for sure already existed. And then Fiora the cook was also made by Shayna and was put into the game specifically so that way her and Wynn could be together.
See, when you were like mid telling your answer about like, well, usually I don't do this because, and I was like, yo, I do it all the time. I will give my character that I already have established like pretty solidly. I will give them to the DM, and the DM will do what they will with them.
Yeah. For me, it's usually I've had not necessarily saying that like this is bad or anything. I've had some criticism in the past for how I've played NPCs that were pre-made that were given to me. And so I try to stay away from that now, just because I would prefer to not have to worry about it, you know, that I'm playing a character wrong that I didn't make. It's easier for me to make a character with someone and have them fulfill the role that the other character would have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next question.
Waffles, crepes, or pancakes from DL.
No, you skipped one.
Oh, well, we'll do this one, and then we'll go back.
Okay. Also, shout out to DL Mira. Fuck yeah.
I don't get to have crepes very often, but I guess I like crepes the most. But I have pancakes the most often.
Waffles.
I've never had a crepe.
Waffles. Especially like Belgian waffles. Those shits fuck.
I do remember when I first tried to say crepe out loud, I said crepes, which is wrong.
Crepes.
I'd say waffles for me.
I'd say pancakes.
I like waffles more, I think, but pancakes are more filling. So if I'm like really hungry, I'll go for a pancake, but the more tasty option tends to be the waffle.
Wow, so we're all divided on this.
Although the thing is, I have never tried a crepe either. I'm sure I would like them.
Yeah. The reason why I went with waffle was because you can use it as bread for a sandwich, so it's multi-purpose.
Huh?
No, but if we had one more option, I would definitely go with French toast. I like
French
that
toast.
the
I
most.
knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah. Love it.
All right, we'll go. Oh wait, did you say Ripley? You said waffles,
I
right?
said waffles.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go back because I skipped one by accident. There was another one from Z, which is, have you all been game masters for your own campaigns?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know. Zen has before I came
He
around.
has.
I did like one session, but
Yeah.
then my schedule just was not working out.
It also wasn't
Yeah.
D&D. It was
Yeah, it was a different
Genesis.
Genesis. Yeah,
It was
we
a
played
different,
one session of Genesis with Zen as the DM or the GM.
Yeah.
Yes,
but-
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's usually Cassie and Ripley who are the DMs. They are the forever DMs. Shayna, Zen, and I don't DM so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say
I DM'd
Jay.
probably the most out of any of us.
Yeah, I'd say Ripley probably DMs the most because I only DM Chosen Ones. I've tried to DM other things while DMing Chosen Ones, and I just don't have the capacity. We barely can play Chosen Ones. We play like once a month, so I can't also play or DM other games usually. Though I did try. I did try the first year to play and run other games while we were doing Chosen Ones, and learned it just doesn't work. Ripley probably DMs the most, and then I'm second most, and then Jay, and then it's been a long time since Shane has DM'd, but I do think he DM'd more than Zen with one
I only
session.
DM'd more than Zen.
I did want to say that my first and really only significant game that I ran is where Theo came from. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's also where Win and Fiera came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Win was my PC.
Manville.
I was gonna say, and also the most important character ever created, Marky Manville, the Grung, who could only say his name is Marky Manville, even though it wasn't. He's one of the most important characters to the Chosen One's canon, and you'll see why one day.
Oh
Don't
my
worry about it.
god.
He and Riddle are the final bosses of Chosen Ones.
They are.
That's your
You'll see.
teaser, guys. That's your teaser.
Teaser coming soon. You'll see. Anyway.
It's too hot in my room. You can't make me get mad. I'm gonna overheat.
No, you'll see. Marky Manville's the most important NPC in all of Chosen Ones. You'll see.
Stop. Anyway.
Anyway.
So this is also from DL Mira, which is, as a DM, any advice on ending a scene? I always seem to struggle ending a scene with my players.
Shut the fuck up.
I will say, I oftentimes will cut out the awkward parts of scenes that you don't hear. So I'll cut off us being like, yeah, we'll end the scene there. Or just be like, hey, do you want to keep going? I cut those out because that's not fun for a podcast. So not every scene has a seamless ending and transition. Usually when we have a scene, I have an idea, or the cast member has an idea of what they want out of that scene. The only time that scenes tend to struggle to have endings is when I have no idea what the person wanted, and the other person also didn't really have an idea of what they wanted, so the scene can kind of feel like it just keeps going and going. And then at a certain point, I just have to call it off, or I have to be like, hey, what are you trying to get done? You know? What is it that you wanted out of this? Because we've been doing this for 20, 30 minutes, and we got to make sure we get the other players back into the game. So there's nothing wrong with just speaking up and saying, what did you want out of this scene? So we can move on to the next one. Or you can establish that you know when you want the scene to end. I do a lot of cliffhangers and stuff like that. So once I feel like the cast member has said most of the things that they wanted to, or reacted the way that they wanted to, I'll go into, I usually have written the ending of a scene, which is why we have those stingers for cliffhangers, because I know how I want them to end. That doesn't always work out. Sometimes the way that the scene goes, those don't work anymore. But I try to have ideas for scenes that I'm planning, not that the cast are necessarily seeking out, but the scenes that I'm planning to establish how I want them to end beforehand, so the cast member isn't trying to struggle and end the scene themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can answer too if you guys want to, because like I said, we've all been DMs at one point or another.
Tell them to shut the fuck up.
For me, I kind of do the opposite of telling them to shut the fuck up. Like, if I don't have a specific ending for that scene in mind, I just introduce the scene, and then I'll just wait there until they're done. Sometimes they take forever, and that's fine with me. I just sit there and do nothing and just let them roleplay. One time I had this scene, I was like, okay, you guys can go shopping. And the characters were talking about height for 10 minutes, and I was just sitting there. That's like the length of like half an anime episode. Like, that's a long time to just talk about height. They were just talking about height for 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I guess my job as a DM is done then.
Yeah, we're good.
Like,
Yeah.
that's, dude, I'm just not going to end it. It's just going to go forever.
I mean, the realistic answer is like during a scene, if it's a character talking to an NPC, you can always just have the NPC, like, once you feel the scene has gone on long enough to be like, I have shit to do. I can't talk to you all day, so I have stuff I need to go do. If it's between two players, generally once it hits a point where you feel like a good chunk of information has come out, or like there hits a point in conversation where it stops, you can be like, okay, we're gonna check over with the others while you think of how to respond to this or whatever. It doesn't have to be the end of a scene, but it could be like you can take an interlude from said scene to like move to somebody else. It's usually a good way of going about it.
Yeah, I've also done that when scenes go on for a long time, or we need to like, I think the season 1 and the season 2 finale are good examples of that. The cast had split up, but I needed them to be able to get back to each other to end the scene. So kind of like jumping back and forth between what's going on so they can finish up what they're doing and meet back up. And that's a little bit more like hoppy, but that's kind of like they're a part of a larger scene and they're having like mini scenes within a larger thing that's happening. And that's a little more complex.
It definitely built towards the drama.
Yeah, it's
that entire thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good to split people up sometimes, but also you want to make sure that you do continue to have scenes with the full cast, because we come to play together, and I'm guilty of doing too long scenes that focus too much on individual characters. And you can always improve as a DM, but at the end of the day, it's also a game, and you should be having fun more than anything. So if your scenes are running long, if it's not a problem, like if you have the full party there and it's a scene that's running long, or it's a character that doesn't normally get a lot of spotlight or something like that, there's nothing wrong with a scene going longer than intended. If anything, it just means less planning for you as the DM, which is great. I've had games where I've used all 10 pages of my notes in the first 2 hours, and I've also had games where I've used one paragraph in 5. So it happens. And as long as everyone's having fun and you're having fun, it doesn't really matter if the scene doesn't have a concrete ending that you feel satisfied with every time.
Mm-hmm. Next question.
Did you ever expect that Chosen Ones would gain the following it has now? And that's from Bromo.
Shout out to Bromo.
There are 2 wolves inside of me. No. There's the part of me that expected this to never do well, and for us to stay really tiny forever, and for it to kind of fizzle out and me to lose interest. And there's another part of me that's just like, believes so strongly that we are doing something very good, that should be seen by more people, that is surprised that we aren't a bigger show than we are. So it's like a wrestle. It's like between where I'm just grateful for the audience that we have and the people that we've impacted, but there's also something where I'm just like, I feel like so many more people would resonate with this show if they would just give it a chance, but it's hard. There's so much stuff out there right now, so many D&D podcasts, that it's just hard for people to even consider giving us a try, especially when we're a slow burn.
Yeah.
The D&D podcasts are long. It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
It's fine. Campaign 2 will be where we get everybody.
We are going to try and speed up the slow burn for the next campaign, because I feel like the first season was pretty slow. Definitely good, but we've learned a lot from it, and I feel like we can we know how to hook people a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Yeah, my answer is just no. I did not expect it to get this big. I had no idea. I'm still surprised.
Playing D&D. Playing D&D, baby. I don't give a shit about the fans. No, I'm just kidding.
Ripley.
I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Thank you all for being here. You should go buy the merch and subscribe to our Patreon.
Ripley!
I would say
Yeah, go ahead.
You were okay. So I would say I'm decently surprised with the reception that we've gotten so far, and especially like how so many of our fans can like attach to the characters, namely the PCs. I mean, Shui's gotten a lot of fan art, and it's like amazing because I was just like, he's just a little silly little dude. You know what I mean?
He's a little dude.
He's a silly little
dude, and it's so like the fact that people are willing to do like fan art and stuff like that is just really humbling. And I just love seeing it, even though I don't like look at the Discord all the time. Like sometimes I'll get an @ I'll check it out and I'm like, just surprised, right? So thank y'all.
Yeah.
So almost similarly to Cassie, I have a kind of similar answer, but not fully. So I never expect anything that I am involved in to, I don't know, get very big. But I do have such a strong belief in what Cassie's able to do and has been doing, and how much work they put into it. The thing is, I feel as if that when you work really hard on something, even if it takes a long time, the people who appreciate the hard work and enjoy what you do will come. And again, even if it takes a while. So I have a strong belief in what Cassie does, but I'm very content, just personally as a player, at where we are. So it's like a mix of feelings. Like, I believe in it, but I'm also like, I'm really happy with where we are, and I never expected to get where we are either. So, you know, it does surprise me just how many people watch every week. So,
yeah, and I would say there's also the concern with that, where the monkey part of my brain like big numbers and want more. But also, I really like the community that we've established in our Discord. It feels pretty manageable still. And I do know one of the things you have to sacrifice the bigger you get as a production is being able to engage so heavily with your community. I have had to pull back recently in terms of how much I engage because it can be too much at times with how busy I am. But, you know, that's just kind of what happens as shows continue to grow. And I would never want to lose touch with the people who are watching, which gets hard. I think I saw a video recently, an interview with Markiplier, where he said that he actually cried the first time he realized that he would never have the same intimate connection with his fans that he did when he was smaller. And I'm like, that I hope is not me, I guess, one day.
I also wanted to say, I think particularly the impact this kind of production can have on people, just particularly with the LGBT community, it makes me feel really good that there are people out there who listen to us that, just me personally, with how I have created Theo and have played him and his backstory and everything, I am really pleased and happy that there are those who can connect or get something out of it, and I think that's pretty important. Just again, particularly as an LGBT production, that people can find something that they feel safe with.
Definitely. And I was actually reserved when we first started about putting an LGBT label on us, not because I was like ashamed or anything like that, but I really wanted
to listen to a bunch of fruits.
I really wanted us to shine through for our merits and as a story, and not feel like I was depending on any community in particular to kind of gather an audience. And I wanted to be seen as more than just queer, because I feel like sometimes that happens where people have not actually seen a series, know nothing about the creators, nothing about the production, and only give it a chance because of that, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I wanted us to be known for being a good story first and foremost, because we are people before we are our identities, even if they are a big part of that, you know. But we ended up getting some shitty comments because I didn't advertise this as queer right away. And so I heavily went into the queer sphere, not because I was, you know, trying to get bonus points for having queer rep, but just because people suck. So, and we had some not nice comments before we started leaning more heavily into being a queer production. So it was to fend off the people who were being very rude.
Yeah. Shout out to people who aren't homophobic. Fuck those guys.
But yeah. I also wasn't out to my whole family at the time, and so that was also part of my choice. And not advertising us as super LGBT to start with. But I am now. I'm gay, and the whole family knows it, and it was always clear anyway in every family photo, so that one was not like the others.
One of these kids is not like the other.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So last question, and then we are actually going to take a 10-minute break, and I will encourage people to leave comments for us to come back to for questions during that 10-minute break. But the last question that we have is, what's been your favorite part about being a cast member? And that is from Bromo.
Getting to play fucking D&D. God, I never had to play. Never get to play D&D. You go first, Shay.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to say just playing D&D, because it's like, there are other D&D games I could play, but first, I guess this campaign is just, like, special to me. I don't know if that sounds cheesy or, like, whatever, but, I don't know, this, I feel like if I weren't in the campaign, I would still be watching anyways, and I would just be, like, inserting my own character into Chosen Ones vicariously. I'd just have my own fan character, probably. And I'd be like, damn, I wish I could play in this game. So
I
really,
do remember, Jay, that you said you had listened to our previous podcast, which we took off because it never finished and it wasn't that far anyway.
Yeah.
But Jay had listened to the podcast before actually playing with any of us. So I'm sure that was a weird experience to listen to us play and then be invited to come to the cool kid server, Jay.
I was like, I want to join this. This looks like fun. And then I basically got to play in a revamped version of that same campaign, so I
Yeah.
did get to be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. It's just like I just really like this story, so I just like being able to participate in this campaign.
Yeah. Favorite part about being a cast member is, I mean, I joked about it, but also getting to play D&D with some of my closest friends is wonderful. I like getting to play in a campaign with and being sure that we're gonna keep going, because like a lot of the time D&D can just like fall off, and a lot of the time people are way too busy to talk with one another and stuff, and this is a really good way to just like spend some quality time with my friends and whatnot. It's real nice. And I don't know, just being a part of the story, the bigger story that's going on, and like forming the community that we have and everything, like, you know, all the cheesy shit. It's all great. I like it. It's good. It's good shit.
My turn. Okay. For me, my favorite part about being a cast member is probably contributing to the story in the way that I have. Just in general, I really... So with this group, we're all pretty familiar and comfortable with each other's like kind of role-playing styles, which for some groups that can be like a struggle. You might not like the way a certain person role plays or something like that, and it could like kind of be a detriment. But because I personally I like to bullshit a lot. In D&D, like, I mean, there's that whole Shui bit where he's like listen with the heart and stuff like that. Obviously that doesn't have like any like mechanical it's not like a spark or anything, but I like that Cassie just kind of goes with it, you know. Sometimes to a certain degree, but just being able to contribute to the story in the way that I have, and will probably do in the future is really cool to me. It was also part of the draw for this campaign when Cassie pitched it to me initially. Just kind of knowing that this was the start, like right near the beginning of the universe, and that there was a possibility of doing like a campaign 2 set a little bit further into the future. Just kind of like being able to establish like the world history was just like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that so bad. So mostly for me is just being able to tell a story with my friends.
Yeah, it's hard to answer the question because there's a lot that I enjoy about being a cast member. I also do enjoy talking with the community, and getting to know everybody. I enjoy just like being able to contribute to like the artistic side of this podcast, I guess. I like seeing this podcast grow. There's a lot of little things that I enjoy. But yeah, I had to pick one answer. But I enjoy everything about being a cast member. It's been a fun experience so far.
Yeah.
So, my favorite part about being a cast member is the way I interact with media is I get very deep into it, and a little too deep, but it's just my nature to get really invested into something, whether I'm very vocal about it or not, because I'm a rather shy person as well. Like, it's kind of whack that I'm comfortable enough with these people that I can play D&D like publicly with them. Just the main thing is the passion for something is probably my favorite part about being a cast member. Like the fact that I am able to be involved with something that I'm not like alone in, and I can get very excited about it and share my thoughts and feelings, not only with my friends, but with you guys who watch and listen to us, who also get invested with the characters. I love listening to, like, everyone's excitement about it. So yeah, just really the comfortability and the passion.
Yeah. I guess I am technically a cast member. I just like having projects to work on, and having people behind them motivates me a lot to be able to finish them. When I do solo things, I tend to not finish them. So having people that I know are interested, because at the end of the day, your players should be your main audience, and then being able to share that with a wider audience. I mean, I feel like every DM has this. I'm very insecure as a DM. But I'm very secure in myself in terms of my ability to create productions. So I actually tend to think of myself more from a Chosen One's perspective as the editor than the DM, because I do a lot of work on the back end. I think those in the server probably saw me complain because the last episode was stuck at a really low quality for the first like 11 hours, and I probably spend average 10 to 20 hours a week per episode, 20 on a long end, 10 on a short end, putting a lot of work into the actual production of the show. So I just like having a project like that to work on. This, no understatement, probably kept me sane during the pandemic to have something like this to work on that was structured and had release dates and all that other stuff. Also, I like my friends.
Yeah.
We are going to take a 10-minute break, and we will be back. So if you guys want to leave questions below, we're going to copy and paste the ones that we want to answer and put them into our own personal little chat to be able to read off. So we'll be back in 10 minutes, and I realized we do not have a we'll be back screen. So let me make that live for everyone to see real fast.
I'm gonna give you one. I have one.
I was just gonna add
use from my own stream.
I was just gonna add text to the screen that said we'll be back.
All right, whatever. Fine.
It's actually, sure, you can give me yours. I don't care.
Okay. There you go. It's in our chat.
Okay, I gotta download it.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Oh, hold on, before I do that. Burp, 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 burp. I wanted to.
Yeah, that's right. That's just in. We're like friends. Wow.
Wow, we're friends?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I mean,
Yeah.
most of us are. We're just pretending to be friends right now.
Yeah, like we're basically coworkers, but like
It's cool because like playing in Chosen Ones has definitely like gotten me a lot closer to you guys. Like we got closer to each other, I feel.
Aww.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly like probably for me because
You just disappear for long periods of time.
tend to vanish. And so having like, hey, we're gonna play D&D on this day, be here is like, it keeps me grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta remember to make an appearance sometimes, you know.
All right, I got the thing figured out. So we will be back in 10 minutos.
Oh yeah.
All right, we are back. Let me turn that off the screen. There we go. So we're going to go through these questions. I'm going to read them out. If I decide in the moment that we can't answer it, we'll just skip it. But we'll start from the top here, which was asked by WebSurfer11. Did you guys intend to become a podcast? Was this always the plan, or did it just kind of happen? We always intended for this to be a podcast. Simple answer.
Yeah.
It was we would not have recorded it the way that we did, because we record separately on separate tracks. So there's no way we would have done it. We would have not put this much production hassle into it, you know.
Mm-hmm. It was always going to be one.
Always was going to be a podcast. One after that is, was there any AU that you wanted to explore more or even see fully play out from Mr. Bakudan? So of the timelines that were shown in the season.
I'd be down to explore any of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
We didn't do any of them all that much.
Same. I'd love to explore literally like all of them, because like, especially if I were to say one specifically, probably the evil timeline with evil Brandy and fallen Theo. I want to do that weird one. That one seems fun.
Ninjui was pretty fun to play because he was so different from the. I mean, different, but also kind of similar. Like you could still tell it was Shui. It was just a different upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's also it wasn't an actual episode, but it was the April Fool's one shot.
Yes, the April Fool's one shot.
Yes,
canon.
that was such a good party.
Stupid.
But it was so good. I love it.
It was really fun.
If Chosen Ones is still airing, it probably will be next April 1st. We should do that again because it was very fun.
Yeah.
100%.
If you didn't watch that one, the Shui in that one shot was a pirate who was raised by Four, which is the little ghost ship captain, instead of Dashi. So Shui was a pirate. He was pretty vulgar. I mean, kind-hearted. His best friends were skeletons. I mean, it was cool. It was cool. I liked it. And just the way they got along was, I don't know, something. It was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. From that April Fool's one shot, I did get really into the evil necromancer Avayath, and I thought about making a one shot where he's like the main antagonist. I feel like that would be a fun universe to explore.
That's pretty neat. Yeah. Go ahead. You go.
I would really love to have had more time as married or engaged Theo to tease our Brandy.
Yeah, that's valid.
Engaged Theo teasing our Brandy was like high key the best content that is, it's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah. I honestly, all the timelines were just so fun. That's the thing. In the previous campaign, we talked about a lot. We did a lot of timeline hopping because it was like a part of like a bigger like narrative purpose. And God, it's just so much fun to play like a different version of your character and like interact with other versions of the player's characters who are either similar or completely different, but you just don't know. Like that's just fun. It's just fun shit.
Ripley tends to be stuck with the character who is the normal one, and the others
Literally
are different. So I think this was fun because Ripley did get to play Bad Brandy.
Yeah. I literally, every single time that we hopped timelines in the other game, I was one of the people who knew everything every single time. And it's just like, oh!
It can be fun to figure out what your backstory is in the game and interact with people. So there is still that kind of element. But it's definitely more fun, in my opinion, to be the characters that get the whole new backstory and get to act different.
Yeah.
It's fun to reveal things to the one who doesn't know. Because,
yes, it's very funny.
Shui being like, Brandy, your ring, where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yep. Obviously, as the DM, it would be cool to go into detail more on the timelines. But you also have to consider that we are playing these games usually a month apart. So it was like 3 or 4 sessions that the characters were apart from each other. And for us, that was 3 or 4 months. Even more than that, I think. So, because we took a little hiatus after the season 2 finale was recorded after session, a little bit before episode 20 came out. And then we went on hiatus because, for those of you that remember, we had to remaster all the episodes that had come out because of copyrighted music. So we had to take a little hiatus. So for us, because we played so far apart, spending a lot of time on those timelines would have felt like a very long time for us to be separated from the main party.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
It felt like so long, and it was so worth it to, like, be able to get back to them.
It was very good. But, like, yeah, we totally, I mean, it's D&D, we control the story. We could have spent whole long, like, green flower length arcs in each timeline and explored them in detail. But that's just not the story that we're looking to tell. That's not supposed to be the main focus of the Chosen One's game for timeline hopping. It's an element of it, but it's not like the number one thing of the whole game. So it was just a this season special, you know?
Yeah. But it makes a perfect premise for one-shots, baby!
It does make a very good premise for one-shots.
So we can just do one-shots forever, and they're all canon, because they're all in different universes. Ha ha hee!
Has everyone answered?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to step away for a second. So the next one is, where did the idea of the Magic Man come from? From Boss. The Magic Man actually stems from a song. I do this a lot. So a lot of characters, a lot of plot points, and a lot of campaigns that I run have the ideas come from songs that I listen to. And it's not like the song directly inspired his concept. It just is where his name comes from. There's a song that my mom always used to play when I was little. I think it might just be called The Magic Man. It's old. I'll have to look it up at some point, what the name of it, the artist is, but it's just called The Magic Man, I think. And that's where it comes from. If you listen to it, it has absolutely nothing to do with him. But the name came first, and then the character concept came after. And I just like well-dressed, ambiguous, faceless beings. I think they're fun. It's a trope that I enjoy.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah, same here.
It has that element of like an old timiness to it, which is tied into a lot of horror stuff that can be fun.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next one.
Wait, one last thing. Similar to last question. I personally heard about the Magic Man in one of the other games that we played, and since then I had wanted to be a warlock of the Magic Man for forever. I had no idea anything about the Magic Man until after the fact. Until like this campaign, I was like, Cassie, I want to be the warlock of the Magic Man. I want to. Be a Magic Man warlock, please. So. Yeah.
Because Brandy just needed a god that would agree to bring him back.
Yeah.
Was the main
I like
thing.
the Magic Man.
Yeah. So we got asked from Wolf Games, how many more seasons are there planned to be? Currently, we're on season 3. Currently, we are still recording, so we're only planning on one more season, but we already have recorded enough for an entire season, and we're still recording. So it's hard to know. I've talked about doing like a big mega season. Like the first season was 34 episodes long. Second season was 24. This season's probably going to be around high 20s, low 30s. And season 4 might be 40 plus. We just don't know. But there also is a possibility that we could hit a point while we're recording where like, that has to be a season finale, you know? Like, we could record something and be like, we said this was going to be the last season, but, like, that has to be a finale.
But we got renewed for one more.
I really wouldn't mind, and actually would be pretty enthusiastic about splitting up what we thought was going to be season 4 into 2
It might, because like I said, we've recorded a lot, and there's definitely things coming up that we are currently involved in that could be season finale worthy.
Attack on Titan did one 3 times. We got a final season part 1, 2, 3 or something like that.
Yeah,
But we will.
Season 4, part 1, and season 4, part 2.
We could do that as
yeah.
well. But I feel like we will know by the time we get to that season if we've hit a point where it's going to be divided or not. We will probably have finished the series when we will be able to announce it's our last season, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll know. We'll know before the next season starts, more than likely, if it'll be our last or if it'll be split into 2.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, do you guys commonly read the prompts in the Discord server? I have it muted. That's from Bakudan, by the way. I am busy. I am so busy, you do not understand. I slept 1 hour, or like 2 hours or something before the premiere day this week because it's just so much work on top of my normal job and all the other stuff to keep Chosen Ones running. So I have lots of things that are muted in the Chosen One server, but I do try to engage in the areas that are a little bit low maintenance for me. So
I read most of them. I when I get a chance, usually I'll like peek in and like read the prompts in the prompt channel. Occasionally, especially this week with what the prompt was, I was reading like the characters people had come up with and whatnot.
Yeah, I read them. I don't think I read them every time, but every now and again I pop in and look at it. But I just don't have the time to engage or make my own. Well, I guess I do have the time, but I have a lot of art projects I want to do. I've got shit I want to get done. I have to make a priority list, you know. Only so much I can do with my time, my limited time.
I look at the pictures sometimes, but similarly, I am usually working on something, so.
Yeah.
But if you want to join in on, and we do weekly prompts, our moderator, Mr. Bakudan, runs them. He's in the chat right now.
Shout out to Mr. Bakudan.
You can join our Discord server. We do prompts. We have areas to talk about the show. We have general chat areas as well for like tabletop RPG, and you can just talk about your passions and all that too. So come join our Discord. We have one that's what were some of the inspirations for the campaign setting and characters by Lovely Gray. I mean, we've definitely, I feel like, have answered this in the previous live stream that we did, but it has been a while, so like a quick note version of that.
It's one song.
For me, it's one song. There is
one
a
song inspired the entire.
There is a song
Trouble.
specifically called "The Moss," and you can go look that up. If you want.
Cosmo Sheldrake.
And it inspired quite a good portion of the campaign that I have since branched off from. But it did have a lot of the early setup, and some of the lore for the world came from that song.
Mm-hmm. You go, Jay.
Some of the inspirations, I guess, for my characters specifically, Avayath, very inspired by Reinhardt from Overwatch. Something of the biggest inspiration. I also wanted him to be not just cool guy, but to have a silly side to him. So his sort of sillier side is kind of inspired by Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. Yeah, and I guess a little bit of inspiration with All Might from My Hero Academia, which is surprising. You would think it's like a lot of All Might, but a lot of connections to All Might are just pure coincidence.
Yeah. There are a lot of characters, like those big bolsterous characters. They're just, All Might is just like one of those, essentially.
Yeah.
For Brandy, my inspiration for making Brandy was I wanted to make a character who used to be very clearly an evil or like villainous character in the eyes of like everyone involved, but like. And then go through like what it means to like redeem said character, or for said character to like go on a path of redemption, essentially, like try and make up for what they did. That was the main inspiration for Brandy. I made him like several years, like a year or two before the campaign. I already had Brandy and just had him and like was building him on occasion, and then it got much deeper once like me and Shayna started talking about Brandy and Theo and things like that, and then Chosen Ones came up, and we were like, what if we played Brandy and Theo? That would be fun. And then like that stuff made me think a lot more about Brandy and like his backstory. He has a lot of like similarities between certain characters. I think the closest character I could think that is similar to him is like Hohenheim from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you know Hohenheim, he's got some similarities with him that like I think that's the closest similarity I could say.
For me, what inspired Shui? It was mostly I was mostly looking at aesthetics, because this was so early on in world history. I wanted him to be from a place that was kind of deeply traditional, and so yes, I was watching Demon Slayer at the time. Well, reading
Just
it, not
happened to
watching
be.
it. And I liked the idea of like having like the villages and having like the you know like the outfits and stuff like that, which is mostly what inspired Shui. It wasn't necessarily like the sword stuff didn't come from Demon Slayer. It was actually just I guess the clothing and like the style that I gave his village.
I know. I was watching Demon Slayer waiting for the swords to have more stuff. I mean, they have stuff, but not like I was waiting for more because I knew that Shui's had a little bit of inspiration from it.
Shui's sword actually came from Bleach, which is like
100%. Yeah,
it was like my very first like anime that I kind of was like obsessed with. You know, the Zanpakuto from there. But as far as like what really inspired Shui was I knew that I wanted to play a character who didn't take things very seriously. I wanted to play a character who had a lot of growing up to do, and just still was working on maturing. I also wanted somebody who wasn't like obsessed with being the chosen one, because I knew Avayath was playing, right? I knew Avayath was playing. I didn't want to like
covered that for all of us.
I didn't want to war with him. You know what I mean? So I played Shui, who just didn't really know what the fuck a chosen one really did, honestly. But he thought it was cool. I wanted to play a character that really looked up to the other people in the party and the other people at the compound. And you know, from there it's just kind of his personality kind of formed naturally. Now, after having like played him for a bit, I was kind of like, so there's this anime called like Recreators or something like that.
There's so many that start with Re. It could be any of them.
And there in that anime, there's a character whose name is Rui, and he's like a mecha pilot who's like really like little, but like hyper and stuff like that. And it's funny because like now that I think about it, Shui is almost like pretty much like that character. Even like their names are similar, Rui and Shui.
I do want to move on to the next question here pretty fast.
But yeah, that's just my. Oh, Cassie, you rushed me. I was done. No, that's just what I say. Okay.
I wasn't sure. I was like, are more animes coming out? Like.
What about Theo?
Shout out to whatever, to Naruto for being my early anime too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Theo was pretty inspired by like fairy tales, and particularly fairy tales where the main character is not part of the special crowd, I guess. Like a character that well, I'll just say The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy Gale, is the main inspiration for Theo. So a character that is like swept up into a lot of like big things, but they're still normal.
Mm-hmm. That's valid. Oh yeah.
We'll keep this one short just because it's an ongoing event. Wolf Games asked what everyone's opinion on Winona keeping Dashi in the moon is.
Fuck Winona.
Yeah, I mean, I sympathize with Winona, but I feel like that was kind of a dick move. I feel like
that's kind of a dick move.
We're just like, hey, we don't want to, start a war between gods. So
vanish, essentially. Sorry.
Yeah.
Could you give us our friend back? No? Okay.
We just don't want everyone on the planet to die, you know? We're not being
that
unreasonable.
sucks. But I get it. But also that sucks.
It was rude.
Yeah.
There you have it.
I fear Winona. Like, the thing that she did at the last part of the last session, I literally was like, oh god. Oh god.
Oh god, oh no, oh god, oh no. Oh god.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment of playing. Like,
You
not
just
only
made,
just watching
yeah,
the
you
episode.
made someone realize they were a god who didn't know. So you know, we'll see what happens with that.
Thanks, Avayath.
Thanks, Avayath. Thanks, Rob.
She did an Uno
Yeah, you
reverse
fucked
card.
up big time.
Sky asked how many more episodes until I get to munch on long-awaited sapphics. I don't have a timeline in mind. It's very hard for me to know how long till we get to certain things. I think I did say there are lesbians this season, but
Swear, just wait.
but it's not, I have no idea how, like, timeline wise. There's times all the time where I'm like, we got plenty of time till this happens, and then it's like next week, or I'm like, oh, that's definitely coming up really soon, and it's like 5 episodes away. So I'm very bad about actually knowing how long it takes to get to things. A couple months probably, but that could be next week. Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows?
It's definitely not next week. But
Definitely.
but I don't remember how far away it is. Okay, I'm just gonna clear this up really fast. Someone asked, this is from Web Surfer 11, someone asked if Ripley and Shayna are dating. No, me and Ripley are dating!
We're just best friends, and our OCs work well together. So.
Yeah,
we
it's
just do
purely
that a
in
lot.
character thing.
Yeah, it's
100% in character.
It's
We
funny.
just- Go ahead.
Shayna and I are dating. And when I first started dating Shayna, I was like, I have this irrational fear that people are going to assume you and Ripley are dating because your characters are. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh no,
our
it's going to be true.
Yeah, our characters just work well together. We just are like, we're both on the same wavelength in terms of making character pairings. So we're just like, what if these characters? Oh, I have a character that would work like wood.
You can hear the sound of me and Jay zoning in on that question, being like,
Yeah, so you can hear them panicking and you're both gonna be like, no.
No, it's just fun to pair OCs together, and Ripley tends to be down for it, and so do I.
Me and Ripley's characters fight more often than not.
Constantly.
Yeah,
Never
I
get
would
along.
I would like absolutely love if other people would also play with me on this, but you know, it's just Ripley.
Yeah, it's just what we do. We're literally best friends IRL. Like,
Yeah.
we have been for a long time. So, like, it's
Yeah.
just how we
I
are.
mean, if you're in our Discord server, we've brought it up. Also, there's anniversary videos all over my channel for me and Ripley that I've made. So, you know.
Yeah.
Just clearing that up. Just because characters are dating in a game.
Clearing that up, just, you know.
Just because characters are
Whatever.
dating in a
Like,
game
like,
does not mean that the people behind them are dating in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Twitter asks still open. I don't see them being used, so I thought I would ask from Melty Moo. Nope, they sure aren't.
The only reason is because Curious Cat went down, and then it became really sus. So
It became very untrustworthy. There are other sites out there, but also most of us are so busy that we don't have time.
It was a
But,
fun
like-
idea. It's hard to
Yeah.
keep up with, and we
Yeah.
have the ask. If you want to ask us questions, we have the Ask the Cast area in the server, and that's
Yeah.
a million times faster.
I appreciate it though. Like I had a lot of fun doing that, and I might pick it back up eventually.
Same. It was very fun. I definitely got overwhelmed because I had like 60 fucking
Yeah, I
questions.
was gonna
in
say,
that box,
like-
and I was like, Jesus Christ.
It became really sad when Curious Cat went down and I lost like 80 questions.
Yeah. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I kind of want to pick it back up, but Curious Cat went down, and like I also just got way too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
I would like each person to ask one question, and then I'll say when I'm done with the questions, and you can ask another one, because I feel
Yeah.
like I got like 100 questions from one person.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to limit it where you can like ask one question per 24 hours per person.
Yeah, that's fair.
That'd be better. But we'll move on to the next one, which is, are you going to explore the relationship with Libris and Zyri? Low-key, I want to know how they met more from Passing Mysterious. I will say those are two characters that it's hard to know, but they are two characters that have been in previous games of mine, so maybe one day. They both have the potential to be in games in the future, so who knows if it'll be explored or not.
Yeah.
But they were a couple before this game, so I know a lot of people found that came out of left field for them. It was actually hinted that Zyri had a girlfriend, but I had to cut the line because something was retconned in the same breath that he said that he had a girlfriend. So it had to be cut from the show.
Oops.
But otherwise, it would have been hinted at. But it would have been one line. Everyone would have forgotten anyway.
Literally. Next question.
Yeah, I do remember. I think Brandy was like, "You have a girlfriend?"
Yeah. Next question.
Yeah. To Jay specifically, we have only seen Avayath use his Asthma abilities once, and he is not. He has
to have a limiter
to keep them from going outside of control. Does that mean his power is stronger than most Asthmers? And that is from
Israel Ramirez.
Thank you. Cassie's very bad at pronouncing things. Okay.
So in D&D lore, Scourge Asthmers, which is the type of Asthmer that he is, have to wear a mask to contain their power a lot of the time, or some kind of helmet. So he is, I guess, as powerful as most Scourge Asthmers, but I don't think they're common. I think Avayath's case is an unusual case. And in the world of Chosen Ones, I don't think it's so common to have so much radiant energy that you're constantly pouring it out.
We just don't have an actual mechanical thing happen,
Yeah.
It's a flavor thing.
Yeah, but also Avayath, in lore, he's portrayed to be way stronger than any normal person. He had a spark at the age of 2. He could beat up grown adults at the age of 11. He fucking saved a town at the age of 16.
He's like Hercules.
He is not normal level of strong. So the answer is no. That's not normal. Avayath is an unusual case.
I did just want to say real fast in reference to the Libris Zyri thing as well, just to show how far packed this was. Literally the beginning of Chosen Ones, my banner on YouTube was a picture of them together, and I removed it because I realized that it was a spoiler. I had to remove a bunch of Libris Zyri art offline because I realized it wouldn't be coming out for 2 years. But we'll move on to the question after that.
Cassie. Besides Arthur, are there any other
No, there was
NPCs?
one above that, which I'm just going to skim over real fast. Katie Highwind asked, how did Arthur end up as he did? Was it one particular moment or a series of events? Definitely a series of events for Arthur, but I won't go into more than that.
A series of unfortunate events. Let me snick it. Go read it.
Arthur is someone who more so was stabbed with 1,000 needles than having one particular moment. But yeah, next one will be from at Cassie. Besides Arthur, are there any other NPCs whose sexual gender identities have shifted over time as you played them? And that is from Sky High. Yes, as I have mentioned earlier, a line that Zyri said had to be cut because his identity changed. So something that he said had to be removed from the show because his particular, how he identifies and stuff changed.
That just happens a lot in D&D in general, is the longer you play a character, both as a DM or a PC, the longer you play a character, the more you get a feel for their personality and dynamic and what their identity really is. Because sometimes you think you have an idea, but then once you play them out, because thinking about a character and actually playing them are two very different things. Yeah. So once you start playing a character more, it's oh, I think actually this fits them more, this label or this whatever.
A lot of times they don't have a label to begin with. I don't give them one and then I play them and then I give them one later. It's only typically these days that I give them a label off the bat because it helps players kind of know sometimes.
Do we get a shot?
Yeah, do you have a shot? But also, because it's a public production, I did announce things that ended up changing, so I'm trying to be a little more careful about that. Because at the time, Arthur had been Arrow Ace, and he's homoromantic asexual now. And that was because as the game progressed, that I realized very clearly it seemed like he had a crush on someone, and it ended up kind of morphing into that in the series itself. So it was kept unchanged. And similar to that, Vermona, when I first made her, was Arrow Ace, but now she's actually panromantic demisexual, I believe, with a with a femme lean. But will that ever come up? Probably not. It's like, I think a lot about these characters that may never come up. I made Wynn at one point, not really thinking a ton about Wynn's gender, and later concepts, he became trans. It just felt right. Wynn told me he was trans, and it became that. Similar with Essence, where I didn't super think about Essence's sexuality, but at a certain point I was just like, she's a lesbian. Like, it feels right the more that you play a character. Yeah, the more that you play characters and the more that you establish them. Arthur was brand new, and I gave him his sexuality before I actually had ever played him. So I've learned to try and hold off on doing that until I've actually played a character, because oftentimes they can surprise me in terms of how they develop. So
Yeah. Next question.
I lost my place. Oh.
Well, I know where it is. Could Avayath kill the Abergrim now, or is it too powerful? By question asked by Wolf Games. Avayath is not strong enough to kill the Abergrim.
Quick and sweet answer. No.
Yeah. It was specifically brought up in season 1. It was teased to him that the Abergrim let him win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
Yeah. Abergrim is a little too strong. You saw the way Avayath and Shui both bitched out and ran the fucking second
after
Abergrim
Flynn
showed up
almost
in the
got
alternate
melted.
timeline.
Hold on.
Yeah. Flynn got melted in one turn, and he was like a level 50
That was
player.
Theo.
I wanted to. I could actually you whoop some ass, okay?
Uh-huh. I think the whole party could probably take him, like, if everybody fought him, especially where we are now. Alone, there's no fucking way. Like, no.
Yeah, and like
He's
in
an
Avayath's
archfiend, like,
backstory lore, he got up and did this miraculous divine smite that he could never do before, and it somehow worked. And it's like, it's kind of, the whole thing is kind of sus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Avayath can't be.
Yeah, and it sounded like the Abergrim did not even know that that was the story that was being told. Like, he was surprised, because I think in the episode, like, 3 or whatever, Avayath goes up to Peter and is like, "Hi, I defeated the Abergrim," and Peter's like, "You did what?" Like,
Go on.
so it seemed like even he hadn't realized that that was the narrative that it came from their encounter. So so we'll move on from that, which is, what advice do you have for world building? That is Lizzie Izzy. I did the most world building I have ever done before a campaign started for Chosen Ones. I usually kind of just make it up as I go. But this game, I had a world map was how I started. I established the major areas. What would you call them? They're not continents or countries. They're
Countries.
like, no, they're not countries. They're like, I don't know what it's called.
Land sections.
Land sections. I can't remember the word. It's not countries.
They are countries.
There's another word for it.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, no, because Varun is the. Oh wait, no. Varun is the continent.
Yes.
Absalom is the world.
Yes.
I don't remember.
And then Winaria, Sol, and those are countries that people live in.
I feel like there was another word for it, but it's okay. We can call
I
them
don't
countries.
think so.
I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I did that, and then I established the major cities in them, major landmarks, and then wrote like 1-sentence summaries of those landmarks. I kind of decided in a couple of major wars that would have occurred within a few hundred years, decided what those conflicts came from, just to kind of, and I set up a timeline from the beginning of history to where we currently are. I made a timeline of major events, supernatural happenings, wars, things like the first Asmer, the first Tiefling, just like any strange, significant, like the Slaughter of the Sparks, all that kind of stuff was on the timeline beforehand. And I gave that to the cast if they wanted to review it, and I pointed out the things that was important that they would know. And then I made a pantheon of the gods, and then I made kind of like little page summaries for the major NPCs, like the previous chosen ones, Merlin, and then all the gods had their own little pages and stuff too. I don't normally do that much. That was because that was for a podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is more world building than I've ever done before. Generally, the way that I tend to play games that are more low key is I give the basic premise for the game. I ask everyone who they want to play and their characters' ideas and all that, and then they come to me with ideas for characters, and I answer lore based on the questions that they ask me, and we establish the world together usually.
Just to like add on to like the advice part of all this, what advice do you have for world building? I would say take inspiration from stuff that you enjoy. Like just straight up steal shit. Like if you enjoy something in a piece of media or think like a piece of like world building is cool from different sources of media, just like reinterpret them for your own world, because the way when you do that and take from stuff you like, it gets you invested in the world and makes you want to expand on that more. And the more you take from different media, the more these ideas will start to take on their own forms as they like intermix with one another. It's a really good way of like building out a larger world when you like take inspirations from like the stuff you enjoy. Like just consume media. The more you know, the more you like consume, the more ideas you'll get, essentially, because no idea is completely original at all. So as long as you're like consuming a lot of media and a lot of ideas and stuff, like you'll get better with world building over time.
Yeah, my goal is never to create something completely original. My goal is to put things in an order that haven't been done before. More so. It's just a remix.
Yeah.
Everything is a remix. Okay. So from there, Athena1234 said, I've wanted to make a campaign as enjoyable for my group as you do for yours. Do you have any special things you add in to make it so enjoyable? My main thing is, as a DM, if you're having fun, it'll be reflective in your players as well. You should make sure that your players are having fun. This is not just a you game, but at the same time, there is no one's enjoyment who is as important as the DM, because the story cannot take place without you. So put things into the game that you like and you think are cool. Also put things that the players like and think are cool into the game. But, you are integral to the story. So put things into the story that make you excited, and that excitement will rub off onto your players.
I'd also say make sure, if you really want to like get your players involved, make sure to incorporate their backstories in interesting and unique ways. Like, and a part of that also is like when you I lost my train of thought because my phone went off, and I was about to say when you walk away, which is the start to the Kingdom Hearts song. When you are getting your characters, your like players' backstories, ask them to leave like open holes or leave it vague and stuff like that. Like leave certain bits vague so that you can put your own like stuff into it, and then it helps like more easily like build them into the world itself, like the very structure of the world. It's
Yeah,
it also helps to like know your players too, as well as the characters, because like with that whole thing with Shui, like I didn't say anywhere in his backstory that he killed somebody. You know what I mean? Like that was Cassie made that up.
Yep.
But Cassie did message me on the side like, hey, something
I
weird
warned
might
you.
happen.
Go along with it.
I was basically like, something is going to happen to you, and I need you to just sit back and let it. So.
Man, you just roll with it, all right? Just trust me.
Yeah, I was gonna add in something similar to that. Communication with your players is super important.
Yes.
Check up on if they're having fun, and if they're acting in a weird way, or if they seem to be going against the kind of story you want to tell, like just ask them what's up. I think open and honest communication is super important. And a lot of the worst D&D horror stories come from someone just being passive aggressive and not saying what's wrong and like continuing to just destroy the campaign on purpose.
Yeah.
So you have to speak up. Even if it's hard.
everyone's going to run their game differently. It's never going to be a one-to-one to someone else's game. I just say, again, making games that you find more enjoyable. I personally love it when I am made to feel important or my character's backstory is made to feel important. So I work very hard to make characters feel integral. If their backstory doesn't seem to be something that's important, I make them feel important in other ways. Like, for example, Brandy's backstory is pretty heavily ingrained. We haven't actually seen a ton of stuff with Theo's backstory come up and be integrated into the main plot. But Theo is still made out to be someone who's important. Theo still brings up a lot of questions, and there's a lot of unanswered things around him. So there's different ways to make characters feel like they have significance to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like feeling special. So, So another thing is, do the players and Cassie ever conspire for scenes they want to happen without letting other players know? Sky High asked that. Yes, sometimes, occasionally. People will reach out to me in private and say, hey, there's a scene that I want to do, or there's a thing that I want to do. Can you let me do that? If it involves another player, usually those players are made aware that there's a scene coming up that someone wants to do with them, or they've asked each other in advance and then they ask me, you know. It's very rare, I feel like, these days that we ask to do scenes completely in private beforehand, where someone's like, I want to go do something, and have it be a surprise for everyone. I don't feel like we do that as much.
No.
Yeah. Generally, we are more collaborative with scenes, and I like to keep things mysterious for players. I am very big on genuine reactions, so I refuse to answer things lots of times outside of the game, whether they're important or not, because if something comes up in game, I want the reactions to it to feel like it's the first time they've ever heard it. I don't want them to have to fake responses to things, so I generally keep things pretty under wraps. Question after that is, if you could change one thing about Chosen Ones, what would it be from Goose Eggs? We'll go down the list, I guess.
Yeah, to be honest, I have no problem with the Chosen One's journey. I can't think of what I would want to change. I guess, like, I can't think of how the compound part could be shorter, but it is kind of a slow burn, I guess. But I liked that slow burn, so I don't know. But the main thing I would want to change is just myself. It would be cool if I could roleplay better, I guess. But I'm also fine with the way I roleplay. But the only thing I would ask to change is my own ability.
We're all our worst critic. I do know you said you wanted to be meaner to Brandy at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, like, bug me, but yeah. It would just be cool to improve. Improvement's always good.
Yeah. I would say if there's anything that I would change, it would be, I think Cassie would agree, is just explaining stuff more.
Yeah.
Explaining, like, being more open about certain explanations or bringing stuff up when they become relevant, like, being more clear with, like, what we're trying to get across. Because certain stuff in the game does seem to come out of nowhere, but that's just because it
was in the background. It was like the players knew about it. It was like in their backstories. It was like in their sheets and stuff like that. It just hadn't been mentioned before. But when something is mentioned and then suddenly people get very focused and hooked in on it, it's because they know it's attached to their backstory, but it can come out of left field for the audience who doesn't know that. So
yeah, so like that's the only thing I can really think of. Otherwise, like, I've enjoyed the campaign, like, all around for the most part.
Yeah. I would say characterization for me at certain points. I feel like at times some of the NPCs blend into each other, especially if I haven't played the NPCs as much or it's been a while. I try to make them distinct as much as possible. There's only so many voices and personalities I can do. So sometimes I feel like my strengths kind of, I feel a little weak in certain NPCs that I'm not as familiar with. It's a little harder for me to characterize them, and they can change a little too much from episode to episode. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to do better about that.
For me, there's like a like a handful of, like, kind of minor things that I would change about Shui, at least his journey so far in Chosen Ones, just to I mean, they're minor things, like I said, but just to kind of, like, I don't know, make the characterize him a little bit better. I would like for him to be more like impactful when there is combat. I mean, he's a spellcaster partially, but he doesn't cast a whole lot of spells, so I would have him maybe be more impactful like in combat scenarios. I also would like to drive home how good at things he is, if that makes sense. He's a skill monkey. Part of like his backstory is that he doesn't have like a whole lot of world experience, but he's naturally quick at learning. So I would have Shui learn a lot more things, like try things for like the first time and just show off how like naturally good he can be at things with his ridiculous modifiers. And the last thing I might change about him is just kind of, I mean, he's always just saying like Master Dashi said this, Master Dashi said that, but he was taught by, I mean, pretty much everyone in his village kind of raised him. It wasn't just Dashi, but it seems that way because he's always just like Master Dashi says this. So I would probably give more personality to the people in his village more, the people of Moonfoam.
Yeah.
I, similarly to Jay, I would love if I was not so bad at things. I would have I'd like to change how much Theo interacted with people. Like, I wish he had interacted more with Titus. I wish he had interacted more with Avayath. And I wish he had interacted more with Wynn.
Yeah, I do think something that was brought up by Ripley is that Chosen Ones has a lot of NPCs that we don't get to spend as much time with just because there's so many. So that's something I'm keeping in mind for the next game, is either lowering the amount or trying to find a better way to focus on the ones that don't get a lot of screen time. So. And that's just part of I really wanted to make this feel fleshed out, and you're at a compound, so I was going to have 8 other Sparks with you originally. Can you imagine how chaotic that would have been?
Cool boy.
Because I wanted it to be like 2 other groups of 4 with you. And the initial idea was like one was going to be the good group you were going to be friends with, and the other one was going to be like the bad group that you were like nemesis with or whatever. And I didn't go with that because it was just, I knew immediately it was going to be too much. It was going to be too many NPCs. I already struggle with balancing a lot of NPCs at once. So that was thrown out the window. But we'll go on to the next one after that, which is if you could change. Oh wait, we just did that one. Just JK. We're in a time loop. No. One after that is, will there be any guest episodes? And that's from Mr. Bakudan. We've done one before. It was a huge collaboration. The first Chosen Ones one shot that we ever released. Sparks in the Forest. We are gonna do some one shots here and there with the cast, but the thing is, it's an organization thing. I am kind of like the head of this project. And there is a huge component of having to reach out to people and ask them to collaborate and get their schedules to work. We can barely get our schedules to work. So having guests, as much as it would be fun, you guys see me DM for people who I am friends with. Even the people who were in the one shot that I had done for Sparks in the Forest, I was so nervous about that, and I'd known those people for months at that point, but I'd never played with them in that way. So it's stressful. I'm an introverted person. I just talk a lot. It's the anxiety. So it's very hard for me to consider guesting or having guests on. I'd be more likely to guest for other people. And even then, I've turned plenty of offers down to guest on other people's shows because it's stressful. I'm not as good when I'm not playing with my friends. Just straight up. That's not a criticism against myself. It's just the truth.
Plus, we're so far ahead in the game.
Yeah, they'd have to be their own isolated one-shots.
Yeah.
But the idea of having guests and stuff would be...
It's fun.
A fun thought. It's a fun thought.
Maybe campaign 2.
Or if this was my full-time job, I'd probably be able to. But currently, it already is my full-time job, and I have another job. So.
Which is why you should go to the Patreon right now. Patreon.com/.
Ripley's really pushing the Patreon today.
Where you can support the show that you love.
Patreon.
And also buy the merch so you can help support the show that you love even more.
Patreon for the fans that we like more. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We appreciate everyone. If you want to support us, but aren't financially able to, there's a very easy way to do that. Turn off your ad blocker. Watch the ads. Very easy.
Yeah.
Also, like our videos. You can leave a comment.
Also, like your video, subscribe,
Yeah.
hit that bell.
I'm not saying like our videos and leave a comment for my ego. I'm saying it because it helps push people up in the algorithm. And it may seem silly because, it's an episode in the middle of nowhere. Like, who's going to watch an episode that's 5 things into season 3 or 4 or whatever? But we actually get 2 to 5 subscribers every single episode that we release on that episode. So people do find us from the new episodes that get caught sometimes early in the algorithm. And so it does help. It does help us be found.
Yeah.
Yep. So from there... Mr. Bakudan asked, when are you adding Kenku Cassie? Eventually. I don't fucking know when. The cast is pressuring me or Ripley is pressuring me to do it for the next game that comes out. But I'd have to check because there is lore reasons for why they don't exist yet. So I'll have to figure.
I'm gonna play Kenku next game. Don't
I was
worry.
about to
Shut
say
up.
We're both gonna play Kenku.
We're all
we got
gonna
your
play
back.
Kenku next game,
Shayna would
those are gonna
not.
play Kenku.
Shayna would never.
except for Shayna.
Yeah.
We're
I
gonna
would
be the
literally
3
never.
Kenku that follow Shayna's character around.
The 3 Kenku
Never leave them
bodyguards.
Shayna's
You see how
character
they-
found them as babies and they imprinted.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
assumed
3
I would play
Kenku and 1 pretty boy.
You see how they just assumed I'd play a Kenku? You see this?
Yeah, you will play Kenku. You don't have a
You
choice. in
will.
that.
You will play a Kenku.
Kenku can only imitate other people's speech, so communication with this party will be a nightmare.
I do, unironically feel bad when aspects of the show or things that people want to see in the show can't be implemented for whatever reason, either because I have my own established stuff in the background, or just, I'm not going to force the players to go do something. Or I know we have a lot of people who are very interested in the Essence stuff. And they want to learn more about it, but it's dependent on the plot and the game and the incentive of the PCs to interact with those NPCs.
Don't give a fuck about her.
Oh my god. So I can lay things out as much as possible, and sometimes I do force things. I have forced interactions with NPCs that people weren't interacting with to be able to further the plot, but I'm not going to make it so that we hyper-focus on them. It still has to, at the end of the day, be a PC choice. So...
This is me, Ripley, giving you a spoiler right now. We never find out anything more about Essence in the game.
Shut up, Ripley. I don't even know, I can't even say anything, because spoilers. But
Yeah, it's actually a really terrible thing to say. Anyway, so, it's kind of hard when it's like if a person is mean to you, you don't really want to interact with them.
yeah. So from an audience perspective, they're very interesting, but from a
Yeah,
player
they're
perspective, it's hard to find reasons for your character to always interact with people, especially people like Essence who have pushed people away over and over and over again, and that's part of her character. And that's just how it is. I should specify what Ripley said.
It's a joke.
She's
I'm joking.
kidding. But
I just like to rile up the Essence fans.
no, I get questions. I get comments about Essence every now and again. People being like, "I think I'm the only one who likes Essence," and I'm like, "No, there are others.
Yeah.
They just don't speak up." Really is the thing. I get the miscellaneous comments. There's 10 people out there over the years who like Essence and support and want to see more of her.
This is for you.
But yeah, it's just very dependent on the way that the story goes. If I was writing this by myself, we'd put a lot more focus probably on those things. But it's a collaborative effort.
In comparison, another character who was kind of mean at the start was Peter, but he had a connection.
But he was hot. No, I was kidding. No,
we do.
Essence is also hot.
No, we had
I'm trying to explain nicely and kindly why we interacted with one mean person over the other, and it was because he was a little bit more connected to character-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more connected character-wise, and also it was a requirement to interact with him in certain scenarios. Like, we had to train with Peter.
Yeah.
Like, we were required to train with Peter and like be.
And he
involved
was a
with him.
mentor,
Yeah.
so he would have taken someone under his wing.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Exactly,
they, Ripley at least, and Shayna also had known him from a previous game. So there was a little bit, there's always a little more attachment when you know a character.
Mhm.
Like like Estel, huge bitch. But she's been played in other games before, so people kind of had an idea of how to interact with her beforehand, you know.
Just
Yeah,
play
and
into her
even
ego
then-
and you'll be fine.
Even then, I still had trouble, like, getting myself to interact with Estel because she was just not very,
Yeah.
friendly and fun to Theo. But yeah, I also feel bad for Essence. I mean, there's clearly a lot going on there, and I would also like to know, like, how she's doing. But it's just hard when my character is like, hey, that girl, every time she just yells at me or my friends.
Yeah, she's sure just going through it, but
Yeah.
like, goddamn, she's so mean to me that I don't want to I don't care.
And they've made efforts every now and again because they see that I've laid things out that interacting with Essence would probably unlock story things. But it's like, again, it's a part of her character. She's mean. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, Avayath was like, hey, you want to hang out with us at Shui's performance? And she was like, no, go away. And it's like, we'd love to talk to you. No, don't talk to me. And I'm like, I guess I won't talk to you then.
Okay, sorry.
you got a little
Fuck
thing.
me, I
She
guess.
still put a lantern up, but it was definitely too early in her interactions with you to try to be your friend.
Yeah, you're like, well, all right, cool, bye.
I mean, initially I tried to have a room with Shui, and he got pulled out of that. So
Yeah, I wasn't about to let that happen.
that wouldn't have been a long-term thing either way, but it would have created more interactions with her at least.
No.
But again, that's just how the cookie crumbles. So next thing is, how many sparks are active in the world at any time, Mr. Bakudan? I think I described it at one point. I don't know if it was in the game, but at least outside of the game, I've mentioned at the start of Chosen Ones, it's about as common as being left-handed. So like 1 in 10. It's not super uncommon, but it's more likely that you aren't a spark than you are one. But it's also very likely that you know people who are sparks. But as has been shown in the show, I think it was mentioned specifically during the Greenflower arc, there are a lot more people who are starting to appear with sparks than is typical. So it's harder to say now.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Another one was, how do you convince friends to play D&D? From Bees. Be the DM.
Yeah, DM.
Be the DM.
Good answer.
Ask them if they should show up, like what time they want to hang out and do stuff. Make characters together to show them like how it's kind of fun. If you have kids, wow. If you have friends over, don't have random kids over. If you have friends over, just be like, hey, I just want to show you some stuff. Like, don't be like manipulative about it, but like, you know, it's like a fun hobby
Lock them
thing.
in a room.
The best
them in
thing
a
that
room
I
and
can
they
say
can't escape until they play
is
D&D.
ask them to do a one-shot with you, to give them a chance.
Yeah.
Because if they hate it, then just be like, I'll never ask you again. Don't force them to do it, but you know, it's an easy in.
Yeah, one shots are a good like entry point. Just be like, hey, do you want to try out this system? It's fun. It's called D&D. Tell them it's like being the main characters of an anime. Just tell them that, and they'll probably be into it.
Also,
Well, if they don't hate anime.
Unless
it
they hate
helps because when I didn't play D&D, I was very overwhelmed by the amount of rules. Just, it helps to be like, we'll hang out and review the rules and I'll teach you. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's so that they don't feel too overwhelmed
Yeah.
to join you.
Yeah. I barely knew what I was doing. The very first game that we ever played, I had the most D&D experience, but it was very little, and it was also an old version of the game, so I learned how to play with them as a DM. It was very confusing. I was very confused all the time, but we had fun, and that, at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Also, don't expect your game or your one shot to be like like Chosen Ones or like Critical Role or whatever, or like any of like the super popular good ones or critically acclaimed D&D podcasts. Your first is never usually like that. Plus, I mean, if you're new to D&D in general, it might be hard to get into the roleplay aspect for some people. I mean, I have my roommate, for example, when he plays with his group, they don't really RP. They don't really role play. They just kind of do, and that's common for a lot of groups. So I wouldn't expect
We're,
in the
we're super
beginning.
role play heavy by comparison to
Yeah.
typical D&D.
Mhm.
This is atypical. Usually it's a lot more combat. We're the reverse. So
We like combat to be meaningful.
we do. We like it to feel impactful, and also a lot of times combat can feel a little like you're forced to do it. So we try to give options for it to not always be a thing. There's plenty of instances where I actually have battle maps and things set up to possibly do combat. Season 1 finale had the possibility to be an actual full combat. If they hadn't found Wynn, or if the Wynn had failed to get a hold of Peter, that could have been a full combat. So there's...
would have died, and that would have been the end of Chosen One.
There's stuff like that it's like, keeping it open-ended, letting the players actually choose what to do and not be murder hobos, all that other stuff. I actually barely listen to podcasts because I don't want to compare myself to other people, and I just like going off my own experiences, and I pull from media that isn't the stuff that I create, because I know me as a person, if I listen to Critical Role, I'd probably compare myself. So I save myself that headache, and I don't.
Yeah, that's valid.
Can't have the Matt Mercer effect if you don't listen to Matt Mercer. So
Don't know who the fuck Matt Mercer is. Haha.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 8:15 on my end. So we'll do stuff for about 15 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up.
Don't.
So, boop, 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 boop. Let me look.
How far in time is the podcast behind right now? Like, when did you record the Winona Moon time?
There's
That was
actually a
Death by
screenshot.
Sky.
There's a screenshot in the episode that I just released where I took a screenshot of what Jay had pasted in the chat because it was funny, and I put it on the screen, and I think it was 2/27/21.
It is literally over a year ago.
So that would
Yeah,
be
so last February.
So that would be February of 2021 was when the episode that is coming out right now was recorded.
Yeah, over a fucking year ago. We record a lot in advance.
We don't even
That's
do it
just
that much
how it
anymore. It's just we had such a big backlog to start with that, again, even recording only one episode a month, or one session a month, that is going to be a minimum of 2 episodes, but it's usually 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So that means we would only have to record once a month to be able to release episodes for the entire month.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. I'd rather have a backlog than not have a backlog, because again, it's very hard to produce the show and play at the same time, because I probably spend the same amount of time prepping for us to play that the actual sessions that we do. So it'll be, 5 hours of me planning the week of for us to be able to play for 5 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, and when you're doing 15 hours on an episode a week, an extra 5 hours on top of that, plus an extra 5 hours of playing, equals a lot. So, so the next thing after that is, can I hug Rivera? She seems lonely in that shoe of hers from Melty Moo. Go for it. Give her a hug. I'm sure that'll be fine.
Give her a nice hug.
Someone asked, the Johnny Jones Villain Collection. That's a great name. Are you guys planning to do another series after Chosen One? Yes, at this point, we've mentioned it a couple times.
Campaign 2.
We are planning to do another campaign. We actually have 4 campaigns in this setting in the concept stage, but we try not to get too deep into it because, you never know. At the end of the day, this is a game. We are friends. I'm always going to put that ahead of the actual show. So if something ever happens and we decide not to do it anymore, that'll just be that. It was fun. We had a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we may be friends, but we're coworkers first. And sometimes your coworkers get fired. So if one of us doesn't show up next season, you know why. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. We murdered them for the blood sacrifice to be able to do the next season.
Exactly. To give Cassie the energy that they need.
I took their life force. No.
We're getting close, we think, to the end of this campaign. We don't know how fucking long it's gonna be, but we've all been slowly discussing what we're gonna do for our second campaign characters and stuff, and it's gonna be fun.
Because it's too hot to play, we're actually doing a little mini game that's not going to have any sort of implications on the actual world of Chosen Ones. It's still in the universe, but because the current game isn't over, it's not gonna, like, we're not really gonna talk about Chosen Ones. We're more so testing mechanics for the second campaign to see if we're gonna implement some fun things, which I won't say yet because I wouldn't tease it and then be like, and we didn't do any of it because it was too complicated. But we're trying to figure out some more different mechanical things to add to the game next time to make it a little more interesting. Yeah, so we're going to test that over the summer, and then hopefully come back and finish Chosen Ones next year before the next summer, because, I don't want to go on another hiatus.
Me neither. I'm ready to be... I love this game. I'm ready to be done.
For you guys, it doesn't feel like we're on hiatus as much as it is to us. We are on hiatus constantly in the background in terms of recording.
We've been doing this for years. Like, it's us.
We've been doing this for this has been years of our lives.
Yeah. So the cast is itching, or some of the cast members are itching to be able to play in another game, but we are trying to give this one a good send-off and feel fully finished and not like we were rushing to get to the next one. I always stress to take your time and, play this game out in full, because we've put so much time and effort into it, and this is so important to us that I don't think we would be happy if we rushed it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then Sky asked, on that note, any non-big D&D podcast recommendations the cast has? Yes, I recommend that you watch The First Watch. They are in a YouTube series similar to us that has visuals and things like that. They have some higher production value. Very, very underrated show. Very good, in my opinion. And then also I recommend The Last Tapestry, which is one of the ones that I'm caught up with. They're kind of on hiatus remastering right now, but it's a good time to also listen in that case because, you're not getting a huge backlog from all of that. And if you like science-y things, one of my friends runs a show called Nature Check that is a live stream where they implement and teach science while they play D&D.
Yeah. I have a recommendation. It's a smaller production. I don't know if many people have heard of it. It's called Critical Role. And
oh my god!
No, I don't have any recommendations. Unfortunately, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
I do. So actually, recently, I've gotten into this podcasting group. They go by Dice Times on YouTube. They make a lot of their own systems for the games they play. The one they finished recently is one inspired by Attack on Titan, actually, and their production quality is actually incredibly high. I was genuinely surprised. I was like, wow, this rivals. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? I'm actually in their Discord server. Yeah, if you do check them out, like their role playing is really good, and their game master Dane, he's phenomenal. But if you do stop by the Discord and let them know I sent you, I'm in there too.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Dice Times YouTube.
And then listen out for the podcast I'm gonna start coming soon. I'm just kidding. Maybe. Who knows?
Called Critical Role. Ripley's actually Matt Mercer himself. No.
Called Critical Kroll.
I also forgot I wanted to give a shout out to Try Not to Die. They're a more comedy based D&D podcast, and it's just 2 players what's currently releasing, but it's very fun and cute and funny as well. So
there was one person in the Chosen Ones chat that I played some D&D with. They in the Chosen Ones chat, their username is Master Debater, and they are on a podcast, or they're on this Twitch channel called Meaningful Gaming. They play D&D on Twitch. So yeah, check out Meaningful Gaming on Twitch if you want to see their thing.
Hell yeah.
Raiden, I'm pretty sure Ripley is joking about the podcast.
Maybe.
For now.
I don't know. Listen, I say it as a joke now. I have considered doing like streaming games. Like that idea of like doing the PNG tuber thing for like streaming a game on Twitch or something is I've genuinely considered that in the past of being like that could be a fun thing to do.
Streaming is its own beast because of scheduling, but then you don't have to edit it, which is great. So.
Exactly, and I sure as fuck don't want to edit it, ever. So, I've considered it. We'll see if I ever actually do it. but it sounds like it'd be a fun idea.
Yeah. Oh, I do
I'd
want to
like
shout
to-
out, just because it's Pride Month, of the recommendations that I had. Try Not to Die, very gay, very queer. Same with The Last Tapestry. Those are my 2 Pride Month special shout outs.
Yeah, support queer creators. It's Pride Month.
Woo! So I think this will be the last question that we're going to take, because we're nearing the end here. But this is a question for the cast. Were there any TV characters from... I feel like we actually kind of answered this.
Yeah.
It was, were there any characters from TV, movies, etc. that inspired your characters from the Johnny Jones villain collection? We kind of already mentioned that on and off. If anyone wants to throw out any specifics that we haven't already said, you can.
I said Hohenheim. Hohenheim
Yeah.
from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I
Huge
said
inspiration
Reinhardt from
for Brandy.
Overwatch.
Same with fucking Fuhrer Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Also inspiration for Brandy. There's a lot. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is my favorite anime, so like
Yeah.
I take a lot from that show. It's very good.
Arthur, specifically the plot point, this is funny, but it's okay. So it's really cool and serious that he's got this alter ego person, right? The inspiration from that comes from Danny Phantom. So
It sure does.
I was absolutely obsessed with the evil Danny Phantom as a child.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was so cool that he fought a version of himself that was older, that was evil. And it was just like the coolest fucking shit to me as a kid. I watched that movie on repeat. And I made the choice consciously. It was not like a oops, I didn't mean to do that. Like, I definitely took from this concept. Because also fuck the person who made Danny Phantom. Like
Yeah.
he
Bitch
sucks.
Bartman sucks.
He sucks. So it's mine now.
Oh.
My plot.
Fuck Bitch Bartman. He's fucking sucks.
The characters are not based on those characters. It's just the concept. So of like fighting alternate evil version of yourself, you know.
Shui does have. There were a lot of like characters, I guess, that kind of inspired him, but mostly I wanted him to definitely give off like general anime protagonist vibes.
Yeah, he's very anime boy.
Just in general, so all your favorites, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
he's like early Naruto mixed with like Deku and Tanjiro, like all
Yeah.
like the 3 of them.
Yeah. I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Shayna. I didn't know you had someone.
I take less from anime and more from fairy tales. So Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, Red Riding Hood, Little Bo Peep. That's more of a fable, but you know, a little nursery rhyme. And just like general stuff like that is what inspired Theo. There's other stuff too, but yeah, that's the main stuff. Not really any anime characters that inspired Theo.
Okay, one last question. Is, and I don't know if this is anything I was paying attention to, but some people think that Shui and Avayath might get together.
Oh, nope. Nope.
No,
Oh.
We just want to clarify that that's not happening.
They have a big age gap. Shui is
There's a big age
19,
gap, yeah.
and Avayath is in his late 20s. So,
Yeah, 27.
age gap.
huge age gap there.
I understand that in real life.
Which I will also preface, not all age gaps are bad. It's just they have
Yeah.
to be old enough and mature enough to be able to handle it. And Shui is 19. He's still in his teens. So being with someone who is in their late 20s is problematic. So
Yeah. And I
Especially
think,
with the maturing Shui needs.
yeah, Jay
Yeah.
and I both like their relationship being what it is, which is kind of like friends. Like Shui looks up to him, stuff like that. I don't really want to add a romance element to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like their dynamic. Avayath is clearly like the older, like he's the inspiration for Shui. It's not like an even power dynamic. That tends to be when it comes to relationships.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
next campaign, it's coming off the walls. We're all
Yeah.
dating each other's characters. It's gonna be messy. Love triangles, love squares, lots of stuff just going all over the place. Maybe. Probably not.
Who will he confess to?
Yeah. On that lovely note, we are at the point of stopping.
No return. Yeah.
Also the point of no return. But yeah, we are going to, stop now. I lost my train of thought as I was saying it. So I was like, we're gonna stop.
We're gonna sign off.
So there's one final thing. If you are a patron, there's going to be something very, very special on the Patreon linked there. And I would really super appreciate it if you went onto the Patreon and checked that out, because it's very big. So
It's hype.
Yeah.
Keep it
So-
secret.
Yeah,
It's probably one of the
Chosen Ones
biggest
related, of
things that
course.
we've ever done. So
Yeah, it's Chosen Ones related, of course. And if you want in on the big secret, please
Go join our Patreon.
yeah, if you want in on the big secret, you can check your the Patreon in like maybe 5-10 minutes. That'll probably be when the post is available.
'Cause let me tell you, it's wild.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah.
You guys gotta keep it a secret. I'm sure
You gotta
there'll
keep
be
it a
Yeah,
secret.
it is
public
top
announcement
secret.
later, but
It is top
Yeah.
secret for now. It will eventually be available to the public, but for now, if you know about it, I would super appreciate it if you kept it quiet. But yeah,
Keep it quiet. Keep it safe. But go look at it on Patreon
Get
right
hyped.
now. Go help support the show so we could do this for a living. So then we don't have to worry about shit anymore. Go support the Patreon. We love you.
Ripley was like, I'm gonna do all the advertising at once today. It's all coming out.
Listen, we don't advertise enough, okay? Go join the Patreon.
I get
Go buy the
self-conscious, yeah.
merch. Subscribe. Hit that fucking bell. Hit the like button. Comment. Fucking tell your friends. All that shit.
Only
Oh.
donate
Give us all
if
your
you
money.
want to and you have the means to do so. Do not
No.
sacrifice
All
other
of your
things
money,
for the
even
sake
if you
of the
don't
show.
have the money. Just
Listen
be
to
homeless.
Jay.
We don't.
We don't give a fuck. Be homeless.
Stop it!
Everything you have, ours now.
Sell your house to support
You made
us.
me panic, and I accidentally clicked another video that started to play for a second. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it
No,
again.
Obviously,
Uh,
obviously, like don't donate if you can't, but do donate because the stuff that Shayna is making for this is nuts. There's some crazy shit. So please,
Yeah,
for
and
the
that'll
love
be
of God,
posted in a
go
couple minutes after the stream because I have to make the stream.
stream.
yeah. So super special patron only information, and I'll be really excited to have you. So.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
extremely cool. You
Remember-
will, I guarantee you will love it.
Remember to also check out the music that's been playing in the background this whole thing if you have enjoyed that. And we will see most of you in our Discord. Thank you all for coming to the 2nd anniversary stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Love
coming,
you.
y'all. And just like always, we're just getting started.
I'm gonna make the tagline for the last thing that we ever post for Chosen Ones be like, it's finally over!
No, the last episode of Chosen Ones is going to be called "We're Just Getting Started," and then that's
How we get into
The
the
end
next
of the
campaign.
yeah.
All right. Thank you all again. See ya.
Yeah, thanks for coming, y'all. Have a good
you.
evening. We love
Bye.
you.
I'm excited to see what your reaction is.